Priscilla law.
Yeah.
Well, we have the boss law.
We
have the boss law, and the Priscilla law.
Well, if Priscilla had a way, she'd have everybody and anybody. That'd be fine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There'd be an 80-page
Permit, yeah.
You need 120 days just to fill out the application.
It's a preamble to the application, 80 pages.
The next item is Broderick Knoll, our superintendent of highways, is here to discuss his road repaving schedule for the balance of the year. So, Broderick, it's your
My nickel.
nickel. Boy, if that plan is in that suitcase you've got there, we're in trouble. Based on the size.
Well, what happened to Hitler? That means we got
That's a
a
lot of money. That's right.
Greenspan, that's how you should identify whether he was going to increase or lower interest rates, the size of the free pay.
I have one for Priscilla, but I don't have one for Dennis.
That's, I'm not worried, I can listen.
Okay, we all got it.
Dennis, you know, we can go
problem.
like shares.
Okay.
If you don't mind. We have another one now. I have the same one ready?
Here you go.
Oh, okay, no. I did. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take you through the executive summary. I'll read aloud with you, and then we'll move on through. There's some information here that really you want to look at on your own to digest it. On page 1, item number 1, the proposed 2011 road improvement program will include the resurfacing of approximately 2.7 miles of road at a cost of $392,470. This is out of a budget of $413,272. That's $300,000 town fund plus the CHIPS money we got for 2011. That leaves a balance of $20,802 that will be used as a contingency or is applicable on other roads to be used in 2011.
By the way, Broderick, I think it's public, at budget time, we increased it from 200 to 300,000 this year before the CHIPS money. So there's $100,000 more road improvements in this summary than there was the prior year because of the actions that budget.
Right. As the town's road improvement program advances into the future, it will become very important to utilize technologies that provide cost-effective solutions to rebuild aging roads. It is equally critical that steps be taken to maintain newer existing roads to increase longevity. Due to the high cost of asphalt products, the importance of existing pavement preservation cannot be understated. A program that utilizes crack sealing, pavement recycling, and the use of asphalt materials that are stronger at thinner thicknesses addresses these issues and would appear worthy of trial, along with the standard practices that have been used in the past. Item number 3, it is estimated that cost savings will approximate $75,650 for the use of several newer technologies that, when compared to the cost of material for a typical 3-inch thickness pavement layer for the year 2011, the town has not utilized these technologies in the past. The town has done what's called reclamation, which is to go up and grind up an existing roadbed and take material out. We do that often in developments where we have curbs, and we pave that at 3 inches, and we come back again years later and pave it at another 3 inches, and all of a sudden we're up so high that, you know, the crown is driving water into people's driveway and
To their garage,
into their garage, and that's a, so, you know, an example of this is if you were on Ridgeview Terrace, which has to be paved again. It's one of the roads on our proposal this year. That one has to be reclaimed, so they'll go in and grind out about between 4 and 6 inches, depending on on the heights in here. And then we'll take a bunch of that material out, it'll be reshapen, it'll be sprayed with calcium chloride, and then we will go in and pave that.
What technologies haven't been using that you're going to use?
Well,
He's got that further on.
let's go to item 4.
Okay.
Old Chester Road, Houston Road, and Gate Schoolhouse Road, which are in need of attention, but they are not considered, were not considered for 2011 work due to the residential development projects that are ongoing or soon to begin. One point I want to make on that, that's fine. Some of these roads are in dire need, so if some of these developments go on and on and on before, you know, their heavy construction is done, we might have to address them in some other way, you know, partial, true and leveling of the sides and building up some of that, because the roads are just crumbling at the edge. On page 2 is the discussion. This lists several items. The first 2 are recycling. One is a cold-in-place recycling, and the other is a hot-in-place recycling. The process is similar to what it accomplishes, but it's done in a totally different manner.
Are you talking about coal patch?
No, it's a cold-in-place.
Recycling?
This is what we did on Jessup Switch Road. We cold in place recycle. It was not.
What is that?
I thought you reclaimed it, and then they put down a,
No. Didn't put it on. It's cold. It's cheaper.
No, but he's talking about the reclaimed part.
you reclaimed it, and then you paved it.
We didn't reclaim it.
You didn't use the existing materials.
What I'm sharing with you is what they used was, it was a cold process. That's all I remember in the application.
Right, but that
It
was,
was cheaper than the hot process.
What is the coal patch?
Well, let's read it, but I guess where he's got here.
yeah, but I think you reclaimed it, you reshaped it, and then you put a binder down with 3/4 inch stone.
I wasn't there for when it did it. I was just looking at what the application had. Because we paid $287,000, and it was, we could get everything done. If we were going to go with a hot-in-place recycling by a rehab company, it would have been that much more. We couldn't have done the whole job. So I don't know beyond that. I'm just sharing with my layman's response to what I read.
Okay, well, when we
You know
look,
when to use this, right?
excuse me?
You know which application is best for each project, I presume.
Yeah, well, why don't you go through
Well,
the processes to us for us?
We
I
obviously
mean,
want
I mean,
to, we obviously want to try
yeah.
some new things. Cold in place, basically, if you can picture this, they set up this train, and they start going down the road, and they grind up a section of road. They take those materials, and they sift through them. They take out anything that's too large. They want smaller materials. And then that's brought kind of an elevator to another section, and it's mixed with a special emulsion that they make. And, you know, at the back of the train, they're laying out that strip of asphalt. And that puts down, you're going to go 2 to 4 inches, depending on the road surface, which they do core samples to determine what's the best for your road.
So where do you get that from? I know you get your milling with the emulsion, but that's made out of kerosene, right? No, listen.
No, I
can talk about recycling asphalt.
know you can.
Okay. And what I'm hearing, it distresses me somewhat, only because it's cold patch, and a lot of that, in order to make that emulsion, is kerosene. And what happens is it's starting now to create an incredible environmental problem for a lot of the roads and a lot of the towns and a lot of areas. They're just getting into this now. So that emulsion, even the crack sealing stuff. So stuff is happening, and that's why I asked, where are they getting that from? Are we buying the emulsion
No,
and putting it in?
no, this is a process by the group that's listed there in parentheses. Gorman Group. Gorman Group.
See, this is what I think they did with this is what they did with Jessup Switch. It was not hot. They re-emulsified the grindings and put it back down and shaped it and rolled it. I'm pretty certain that's what they did.
That's what Charlie does. He recycles, but they recycle hot asphalt.
No, I understand. But
Charlie
this-
with the
reclaims
millings.
and reshapes the bed,
Right,
and then they come over and they top coat this.
right.
This is actually taking the road materials,
It's there.
mixing it with the emulsion.
Right.
You
Well, that's what
bought a new layer of asphalt there.
I don't know if we
I
did.
did.
I know, I think what they did, they sealed it on top of that.
No,
Okay. Well,
it has to
could
be
be.
sealed this year. That's the second part of the application, which is.
Well, we can look into it.
Well, okay.
We can look into it.
Okay.
It's gotta be right coming out of the chute. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, they do a lot of this in Orange County.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that at all, so I'm just trying to get information. Okay. And are we on the hot in place asphalt?
Well, let's just talk about the advantages. Obviously, the advantages of recycling is we're reusing the road materials. It is cheaper than adding new asphalt.
Sure.
And it also, if you look at some of our roads, if you look at like Old Chester, where there's patches on top of patches on top of patches. Now, even if you wanted to go in there and lay a new 3 inches on there, you still have a misshapen road. So then it's kind of hard to take that and get your contour and get that to stay without the base being similar underneath. So when you do go through a recycle, you basically reshape the base because you're chewing it down. And so you've got some positive things there. Hot in place is a similar function, but it's using
Right.
heaters that heat up the existing. They also mix an emulsion in with it, but you're utilizing some of your internal materials also. NovaChip is what I reference to a thinner product. NovaChip is something that is put in approximately a 5/8 inch thick layer, and it's a comparable strength to an equivalent 2 inches of standard asphalt. They do that by the addition of, I don't know what their special sauce is, but they also use Portland cement to give it a little strength.
Is that what the village is using with some of its streets now?
No, I believe they're using a micro seal, which is kind of a slurry.
A slurry.
Right.
Because that's different.
That's different.
I think this may be what they're using out on 17. I know it's very thin compared to what it normally is.
I saw the same thing, yes.
It's smooth.
They do a lot of it.
You gotta look at the brochure.
Pass this around. So right now, the cold in place recycling and NovaChip comes from the Gorman Group, and the hot in place recycling that, I don't have a firm price, I've got an estimated ballpark price. He's gonna come look at the one road that we wanted to see how that works. Some of this we just don't have the experience with, and we'll have to see how it works.
Now, with the Nova Group, do they grind that as well? Or this goes on top of what they would do with the recycling process
Yes.
for it?
Yes.
Okay.
Or if you have a road that's not in too bad of shape,
They can put right on
you can
top.
put right on top of it.
So they'll grind up the millings? Who grinds the millings?
Well, this is one that it will be made at either FETS or it'll be made at Tilcon, and it's a special process that Gorman comes down. It doesn't have, where standard asphalt can be made hours ahead of time, this has a shorter life.
Right.
So you basically get it all set up, and you need to move it as it's being made.
Yep.
And so Gorman's people go to, again, they work with TETS, and they work with Tilcon. I don't, Dutchess Quarry does not have that capability yet. And in fact, in the jobs where we proposed the Nova chip, we would do the hauling. They would be placing the asphalt and doing the rolling.
Okay.
All right, on page 3 is just a summary.
You want to talk about the crack sealing?
Yeah, you know, I added this in. Crack sealing probably is something that we would consider as part of our patching fund.
It is.
And the only reason I put it in here is because I just wanted to touch base on it. We wanted to try it this year, see how it worked. We've selected about 6 miles of road, 6 miles of center line road. That's about 2 days of work for them and their crews. It would be done in roads that really have been paved kind of in the 2 to 6 years.
Right.
You look at some that are a couple years old and they look pretty much, but you'll see a little crack in the center and a little bit there. And if we can jump on those, and we'll get a few more years out of our roads. And then you brought up a point of microseal. Microseal's got some people don't like it because of how long it doesn't seem to hold up. But there are some other things. This group makes something similar, which is a fiber mat, and they mix in fiberglass with it, so it's much stronger. It's a little thicker than a slurry seal, but it's good for a road with fine cracks in it. You know, nothing that's going too far, and it's reasonably priced. We don't have a place to try that this year. Maybe that's up next year. We'll try that on the road this year, see how we like that.
Yeah.
So essentially, all of this thing is contracted out in some way, shape,
Not all of it, no. Well, anything to do with the recycling, anything to do with the Nova chip and the crack sealing, that's also down.
But your people do the hauling? Like
We're
if
gonna
this
do
is
the
made,
hauling.
if the Nova chip is made at Tats,
Yes.
we'd be going, we'll
We
do
would
the
be
hauling.
doing it.
Do they have a bid process out? They some contract all that out?
Should have.
State
They're all
bid.
state bid.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering what. We want to use a
It wasn't,
Gorman group,
yeah.
but are required to a bid process on this. Oh, I didn't know that, so I asked the question.
Yeah, no, they're all,
Okay.
even their crack seal is
All right.
state bid.
Do we have experience on this stuff?
No.
Have you talked to anybody or
Yes.
any municipalities that have it for any length of time to see how?
Randy
doable it is?
Filipowski's very happy with it up in Minnesota.
How long has he had? that
He's been doing it for, I don't know when he started. He's been doing it for quite a few years now.
Okay. I just don't know the
And
durability.
he's used all of these things as appropriate. He's pretty happy with the Nova chip.
Well, I think most of these things are probably new technologies based on the asphalt's not a perfect item. I mean, it doesn't wear well, the water, it's got a certain life.
Yeah.
And
It's
these
funny
are
that
probably new things that are gonna, in particular as the price of oil goes up, maybe there's something.
Well, I think that's more of it. It's funny, when you start to do research on hot in place, it really was started in the late 50s, where someone had the vision that the materials used shouldn't be just brought in. And you can see there'll be a balance point at some point in time where it's cheaper to just bring in new. But we're past that.
Yeah, we're way past that.
At this point.
Yeah, you're right. Pretty good.
Okay, page 3, and Phil, I will continue to get some input on this.
Yeah, cold patches is scary.
There is a little, we need to quickly schedule slots because there's not many available left if we want to do these things this season. Okay, if you look at page 3, it's kind of a summary. We selected 1 mile of road on Arcadia from the intersection of Conklin Town to Route 94. That would be a recycled cold in place, and that would be topped with no chip.
Conklin only goes so many feet past the intersection. You're not going to do it all the way down to 94. That's the town of Chester. Well, at that intersection of Arcadia and Conklin Town, you only go up We're like Ralph Holliston's house, and there's a big sign, it's welcome to Chester.
No, it's going down Arcade. It's not going down the other way.
Well, no, it shows.
Okay, I'm sorry, you're gonna go from Concord all the way up to 94,
94,
I'm sorry.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought he was going the
He
other
thought
way.
he
No,
could.
not Concord.
Going down Concord, down toward.
we're talking
Arcadia Road.
Yeah,
right.
I know, I lived there, I know.
Well, I know you live there, but you got me confused. You made a left-hand turn.
So see, the intersection of Concord, I'm thinking he's going toward 94, also intersection.
Yeah.
You're right, you only
We
go
talked
That's all.
8 homes,
Okay,
8 homes towards any.
Right,
You're
then
you're in Chester.
I know you know that, I'm just wondering why we would be spending that money.
This is part of our intermunicipal agreement.
I thought Mr. Bell was gonna help you
We'll
out.
pave your roads, you pave ours.
That's all right, yeah, Mr. Bell lives there, he'd appreciate that. They just did theirs last year anyway.
And the reason we chose 1 mile in it, Arcadia Road was a perfect candidate for cold in place recycling. It has been core drilled, and they've studied that, and they're fine with the base that's in there. Actually, Old Chester Road, Houston Road, Gate Schoolhouse Road were other perfect candidates for that. But again, we kind of shied away from where there's construction. The second road was Ridgeview Terrace. That one needs to be reclaimed, which means we need to take anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of material out there, reshape some of the existing material that's been reclaimed. We'll reshape that. And then that'll get coated with 3 inches of new asphalt. That would be done by Goshen Highway. Spruce Hill Lane originally came up because that was the first place. Spruce Hill Lane was a road that is not in the worst shape, but if something's not done to it in the next few years, it kind of puts it into another category. So that was the first road where I wanted to use the Nova chip, because you could put that on there. It's a development with curbs, so we wouldn't be going in 3 years from now, because we probably wouldn't pave it this year if we were doing it ourselves, but we'd probably go in a few years, pave that, and then you're back up to raising that up to 3 inches. Skulls of Terror, Southgate. Southgate is in terrible shape. It's in too bad a shape to Nova chip. That's the road we wanted to try the hot in place recycle and Nova chip the top. Skulls of Terrace. Actually, the reason Skulls of Terrace is on there because originally Skulls of Terrace and Milburn were both on there because that would finish us up in that entire area. Everything basically would be done. Road number 6 is the Wedgewood Road entrance to Arcadia Hills. That would get 3 inches of new asphalt. And then I've included in item number 7 the crack sealing, and again it was approximately 6 miles of road. If you look at the bottom, there's a superscript that just says that funds would probably be used from the patching account, but it's shown in the road improvement account to illustrate costs and convey advantages. Now, with keeping your summary sheet out, we can look at some of the comparisons, the calculations of data. In road number 1, Arcadia Road, we have a quote of $55,900 to cold in place recycle, and we have a Nova chip top coat. Okay, so in note number 1, the estimated cost of materials only to do the top coat. So we're assuming that it would be recycled, and Goshen Highway would do the top coat. The total cost of that plus the recycling would be $149,250. That's a savings of $27,700. If we forgot about recycling that section of Arcadia Road and we just went in like we normally do and pave it at 3 inches, which will make a nice road, but its cost is $137,556. That's a savings of $16,000 and change. Road number 2 is Ridgeview Terrace. There's really nothing. This is going to be something Peckham's going to reclaim, lower the surface. They're going to apply the calcium chloride, and we're going to pave it.
Is the $62 a ton, is that a pretty firm number now, based on the recall?
It's a firm number, but if we are in agreement what we're going to outsource and what we're going to do in-house, I'm going to take the money that we are going to spend, and I'm going to talk to Brian Kaplicki and see if there's anything he can do on that based on.
Well, I mean, my question, I guess, is more broader than that. Is we have a state bid for the cost of asphalt. Oil's going up and oil's going down. Does that state bid go up? Does it go down with the current?
We've been notified right now from Dutchess Quarry that our cost is $62.
Okay.
It's not there.
Well, actually not. The town of, well, yes.
Yeah.
Last year it was, I believe, 66 or 68. The highway department went to Dutchess Quarry and said, we are going to spend this amount of money. And they got a bid from Texas, and they got a bid from Dutchess Quarry. Dutchess Quarry came in at $58.50 for that amount. So I intend to do a similar thing, but I need to know how much of the dollars we're going to use. And since we were doing some new things that I wanted to present to you, or I'm proposing to do, I want us all to be comfortable about that.
Right. Okay. By the way, I applaud your going out trying to beat the state bid. It's good business.
Road number 3, this is one where the savings surprised me. So now we're not recycling. We're going into a road that is in good enough shape, and we can just Nova chip it. And the savings are incredible.
It's half the price. You told me it's 106 to do it the old way.
It's 106 and 52 to do the, that's my quote on the Nova chip.
Now, we haul it, they put it down.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
And they roll it too.
But the $52,000 is their cost.
That's our cost.
No, I mean, that's what they charge us to put it down.
Yes, sir.
Right. Our cost is kind of in addition to hauling it, that's what I'm saying. Which are there all the time, eh?
Right, and
No
these
different than
estimates, you know,
our
Right.
cost is always there.
Right.
if you look at the bottom, there are no estimates here for the costs of labor and fuel
Right.
for operating the paver and the roller. These savings, obviously, on anything that we would not do, that we would outsource, there would be that savings, but
Right.
this is really just kind of looking at materials alone.
Okay.
Southgate, we've got a hot in place recycle, we've got a Nova chip coat. We do have some work in there. That development does not have curbs. It's got a kind of a swale along the sides of the roads going down drainage. We would go ahead and clean that up and pave that. That's the cost of roughly $2,000. Again, you have the same analysis in No. 1 and No. 2. One is for adding 2 inches, and one is for adding if we forgot about the, well, let's go with No. 1. If we were going to go in and do the top coat instead of the Nova chip, it would be a cost of $46,880 compared to the $38,660. Note number 2 is we would pave the road in lieu of recycling it and in lieu of putting the Nova chip on. So you can see the savings between the two down at the bottom. 70s, just, again, crack seal.
That crack seal is nasty. It gets all over, it clogs up the pipes, and the way you gotta clean up these crack sealing the pipes is to use kerosene with these fits with. I mean, it's done, and it works, it's good, but boy, to handle that stuff is just nasty for the people. Anyway, this is the side note, has nothing to do with it.
You know, if you add up all your savings, it's $89,720 if I look at it.
Well,
Which
if you
then
go to the
allows you-
executive summary, the 75,650 is based on a comparison to executive summary.
Oh, on page one. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, okay.
Okay, that is the comparison between,
3 inch.
right.
Right. Okay, I just added up the savings for 89,720 because I did it wrong here.
Which one now? Which one's down?
Well, what I did, I took that sheet, page 4, and I had savings versus the, you know, my savings were 27,700, 54,000, 8,020.
Well, there's two things here. The first item, there's in item number, in road number 1 and road number 4,
Right.
there's a savings over Goshen Highway to do a complete 3-inch pavement.
Right. Oh, okay. Listen. I see why your number's different.
And then there is a different. The second number is only if we were going to do that. That means assume that we were going to do the recycling, but then we're going to pay.
I got it.
Okay.
All right.
All the 3-inch paving that we're doing, we're using our machine and our.
Yes. Yes.
And did I hear you say that 62 per ton may actually turn out to be 58.50?
No, that was last year's price.
Oh, I see.
But
You didn't say something about that once you had your numbers?
Once-
Confirmed numbers, you were going to go to Ted's and those different people? And
Yes.
you will negotiate a number less than 62?
we'll see what they say. Yes, that'll be the hope. But obviously, the more you do, you know, last year, your 100% of your road program went to Dutchess Park. So you know, basically that was put in front of them and said, okay, we're going to give you this much. And so they got a price for that money. They paid more for patching, but the 58.50 was the number for use of that program.
Now, let me ask you another question. The balance of $20,802. Okay, the revenue balance because you haven't spent it, and that's before you get any additional savings through your negotiating with suppliers. Well, what's your intent to use that for the patching during the course of the year?
Well, it was contingency. There's a lot of roads we'd like to T and L, kind of true and level, and that's if you drive out 6.5 Station Road, you'll see a T and L job that was done with the paver.
Right.
It's the only one that's been done
Right.
with the paver, and that was to build up the edge, or they're all breaking off. The goal was, of course, to in a year or so was to go ahead and finish that road off with something over the top. And unfortunately, that whole road didn't get done, so you kind of got bits and pieces. So we'd like to continue that. We'd like to maybe finish some of that on 6.5 Station Road, and there's other spots that we could do that. Want to use some of the patching money for that also,
Right.
because technically that's patching.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel that we've got a little contingency, and we can. It is intended that we would use that this year, along with. I want to get so that patching money is we use that by hand for potholes, and then the rest of it was using our paver, because it's, you know, drive down any of our roads and look at where some of the edges have been built up by hand, and then go look at 6.5 Station Road that was done with paver, and you'll wonder why. I mean, it's a pain to drag the paver out and get it all set up for just that, but the job is that much better.
Gotcha. Okay.
It is better.
Yeah.
We were talking today, the other one does look like a patch job.
Yeah.
When you do it with the paper, it doesn't look like a patch job.
Well, the,
Good job.
I certainly,
Wow.
this is a very, very analytical look at this. I'm grateful that as an individual that you went out with these different technologies, so that in years to come, we'll know what works and what doesn't work.
Well, that's it, we've got to build our own program, and, you know, it's kind of exciting to try some new things, and we'll get our own feel for it. Like I said, there's a couple things we didn't do this year that'll be nice to try. But I think you can start to see that some of the things, if we have good enough surfaces that we can go over with a Nova chip instead of going over with 3 inches, you can start to see where the money, you know, when you look at that on that one road, which is just Nova chip, and that's where the big savings are. And you know, you brought in, you know, then even with a Nova chip, once you get X number of years out, obviously the surface of that will start to degrade a little bit, you can find cracks through there. So if we can surface that with something even cheaper, which is just a surface treatment, and get another 6, 8, 10 years out of it, then we won't be at the cost, because asphalt's not going to go down. So,
Good. Any other questions for Broderick? Well, again, I'd like to thank you for all the work you put in on that, and the time it took to performance.
yeah, thank you.
Super. How's your shoulder coming?
Come.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.
The next item is yeah, I'm just looking. Okay, it is in fact New York State DOT. You'll see this letter in there called "Release of Preferential Acquisition Rights," and basically what this is. And Dennis, you may to weigh in on this, but anyway, if you look at the first paragraph, the Department of Transportation is designated the official state agency to administer Section 18 of the Transportation Law as amended by Chapter 998 of laws in 1993. This statute allows state agencies, regional transportation authorities, and local governments the opportunity to acquire for specific public purposes abandoned railroad transportation property. In this case, that property has already been purchased by M&M Corporation. So you go down to the next paragraph, formal request for the release of preferential rights has been submitted for the property identified in the enclosed documents, which Mr. Lippman sent off to this New York DOT. Therefore, in the last sentence, therefore we kindly ask if the town of Goshen has any interest in acquiring this property for public use. Please let us know by June 17th. And so if you go through all of the stuff from Mr. Lippman and you go to the maps, if you go to the last map, well, it seemed to me the one I had it darkened out. Well, let's go even to this Mr. Lippman's letter. It says, this firm represents M&M Orange Inc., which is the owner of the referred property, which they purchased back in 2005. This property is vacant land, which M&M is about to refinance. So, Dennis, my question to you is, they're looking about refinancing it. I don't think they're looking to sell it.
Doesn't appear so.
Okay, so, but our client, last paragraph, our client is asking us to determine whether the preferential right of acquisition is applicable to this property. If so, whether release was given and or not to request release at this time. So, does that mean that when they bought it,
We should have been notified.
we should have been notified?
Correct.
But we don't, I have no clue if we were or not. Is that
Well,
somewhere in
I think by
record?
the fact he's asking, they don't have any formal release
Okay,
So I think he's asking now, if we need one, can we get it now if we didn't get it in the past?
okay.
Retroactive.
So if we decided, said, yeah, we want that piece of property, this railroad bed,
Correct.
we could.
Yeah.
Who do we buy it from?
In theory, the landowner, or they'd have to donate it. It's quasi-public. I don't know how he obtained
How
title.
do you obtain title?
Don't know. If you notice his, in the indentation there, the deed out of the railroad contains no recital as to the release. So he got it from the railroad. A number of speculators over the years, and I don't mean in a bad way, or pejorative, they purchased the old it runs through Marusky Farm, in fact. They ran into that on the purchase of development.
Exactly.
And they can be very valuable, Heritage Trail, et cetera, and or pipelines, or whatever the case might be. I can't, I see the map, I can't, in my own mind, determine where it is.
Well, if you look at Schedule A, it says beginning at the iron pipe on the southerly side of Maple Avenue Extension. That's where it
Police
begins.
Drive, that's where.
That's where it starts. And
So
then,
it veers.
Yeah, just talking out loud.
It veers like to the back.
Of the property.
Yes, it's sort of like a pie, piece of pie. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I agree, I just can't place it.
But on this thing here, what I did was, is
Highlighted?
I took the three sections, lot 1.32.
right,
Well, I mean, I hope this is wrong. If it is, lot 1.32 is 20.4 acres.
oh, sure, but that's correct, yeah.
So you potentially, we could own 20.
No, this is the railroad, that's the landowner adjacent to it. This is the railroad.
Oh, okay.
This
So
is the
I'm
railroad
looking
here.
I'm looking at Schedule A.
Yeah,
And I was thinking that lot number, parcel number 1, parcel number 2, and parcel number 3 were the ones in question. No?
I think, I think it's the, you see that piece that's darkened on this last map?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the railroad bed.
Yeah, well, you see, that one is that one is listed too, it's 70 on the one here. And
Right.
that's actually 2.3 acres, but it's a railroad bed, so it's.
But this land, right, but this parcel over here, I don't know who owns that. I mean, these others,
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at this one.
So anyway, I mean, the question is whether or not we weren't notified if, were we supposed to get the right of first refusal and we didn't get it?
okay. What now?
I'm trying to, I'm having difficulty identifying, to be honest.
Yeah, I am as well. I think we all are.
Yeah. And then
Unless we,
the other one was 511, and that's a high school.
Police station.
Where do you get those from?
Well, that's across 6. Well, that pond is all. I think that's.
but you see right here, here's the road, right? You see this railroad right here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You see it right here? Along Police Drive?
Yeah.
right.
Okay, that, from here to here is, I think, the part that's in question, right there.
That's what we were saying, that's what we were saying, that's fine, how this is such a.
Right.
It's behind that red place.
Right, yeah, but just that piece of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then.
What happened, my understanding is when the Erie Railroad went out of business, everybody, landowner along it, could have an opportunity to buy it. That's how,
Used to be fine.
Carrots.
for example, in 17A there, I guess it wasn't, I don't know, was it, I don't know who bought that land, that railroad bed to start.
There's a number of people.
Yeah, it's
Who
been
do you use
sold.
that one?
The village, when I was.
That's right, yeah.
The village, we
Bought some as well.
we purchased the whole thing, straight out. You know, it became partners the trail. We have a parking lot on another section of it.
Right.
Dickerson and Medius.
Right, you're talking about within the village.
Within the village line, yeah,
Right.
sure, right.
And when I say purchase it, I think there was like, it wasn't much.
It was minimal,
It was nominal amount of
Correct.
money, if anything.
Right.
Well, I think we had to do a survey. We had to do the survey, but it was really very much worthwhile, because we got parking out of it, and we actually did that small part from Green Street out to South Street, a little bit beyond, and paved that area there for the trail. Yeah, got a grant from the county.
Now, when you bought it, how wide an area was this for the railroad bed?
Oh, I would say it was maybe like 15 feet, I guess.
Okay,
12 to 18, yeah.
Right, okay. So, that's why I say these parcels that you were sharing, right, this one here, that somebody owns. This is the railroad here.
I would think so, but then,
Yeah.
I'm going back to my question, maybe I'm wrong, is, are the Schedule A, are they talking about parcel 1, parcel 2, and parcel 3 as the ones in question?
Yeah, I don't even see parcel 1 and 2.
Well, here, I see
Yeah,
parcel
it's on-
3. Yeah, it's on the page before that. Parcel 3 is one page
Gotcha.
at the bottom,
Gotcha.
and then parcel 1 and 2.
Yeah, usually in the recitation, there'll be a summary as to, it doesn't, plus or minus X number of pages.
Right.
It doesn't recite it. You can plot it, I mean, some of these are pretty long.
Yeah, they are.
Courses.
Because the reason why I said that was lot number 7, which is the one that Doug was just talking about, it's 2.3 acres, and that would kind of make sense. That's the railroad bed all the way down. But then there's the part that they refer to as 5.11.
Yeah.
And then if you see that, that's at the end, and it's a pie shape, right from Police Drive. It's wide. It says 288 feet. That's what it seems like it says. And then it goes down almost.
Oh, yeah, there it is, yeah.
to nothing.
Yeah.
And it goes into it. So if you were talking about that, and then also 511, that's a sizable chunk of property, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yeah, potentially it is. And I also don't know about the utility, how it fits into Police Drive. It must wrap around behind these properties.
You know what we ought to do? I think that
They've got a survey.
either you or myself needs to get up with Lippman. Lippman wrote this letter.
Yeah.
He's the one requesting all this.
Right, and plus, they could not prepare those descriptions without a blueprint survey map.
Well,
Real
Just
detail.
running behind, that's
I'll chime in a couple of things. I thought that a lot of this land was over to the county first, and then from the county, municipalities would be second. I don't
That's the way I
remember.
recall it.
That's how I recall it. That's number one.
The county refused it, and we picked it up.
And then we would be able to pick it up. I don't remember any of this. I was there for part of this. I don't know what happened after, but I don't think we ever had the opportunity to purchase it. I don't know if these people bought it directly after the county refused. That's number one. So I don't know what we're talking about. You're right, we need clarification on the property. But somewhere along the line, there was a snag, because he's talking about refinance. Number one, they normally don't finance vacant land. And number two, they certainly don't finance it if there are any kind of encumbrances. Because if they wanted to foreclose on the land, they'd have to come to us, because there's no release. So there's a lot of convoluted information here that I just don't understand.
Yeah.
And we probably just need clarification as to what we make the release from.
Yeah, well, what happened, obviously. was
And our
that-
liability.
Yeah, when they went to right finance, the title company brought up the encumbrance.
Yeah.
And the encumbrance exists. Where is your sign off by the
Absolutely.
municipalities?
Right. It
State,
wasn't there.
railroad, county, town, and
Exactly
it doesn't
right.
exist.
It wasn't there.
Right.
Okay,
Somebody-
well, let me get with Lippman and find out if he can bring, he makes some very good points.
Well, I can't figure out how they financed it in the first
First
place.
place,
Because the encumbrance is there,
happened
and the
all-
title company would be responsible
That's right.
to
Title
pay
company.
this owner. If we said, no, we're not gonna release it.
But even more important,
Wow.
what happens many times on a finance is, the fee policy is not paid, the mortgage policy is. So the obligation may be owed to the mortgagee, the mortgagee, the holder of the mortgage.
Right.
Whereas the owners may or may not have a policy. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But something's afoot.
If there is.
Sherlock Holmesian.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a
Yeah.
finance thing, he may be saying refinance where they may have paid for it,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I got a feeling there's more to the story.
I
Yeah.
think so.
I still can't figure out where it is. Was it right behind us?
Or how much?
yeah, it's over behind, it's along Police Drive, okay, behind
Yeah, we're intimates.
Enemans
It's
and all
behind
that.
Enemans.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but then that's gotta run into those areas where those people have the contamination situation.
No, well,
No, it goes down that-
No?
No.
Wrong
I
side of the
don't
road?
think so.
No, it goes
It's on
down- I saw, but I don't think
it's
it
the
goes down
same
that
side
far.
of the road, but I think it backs up. and it's up to
Goes up the
them.
road a
Could
little
be.
bit.
I'd have to go out and take a look at it.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
I don't know.
It's interesting you should say that, because if in fact this was available, running a water main down that section as compared to the section that the road is, might be very viable.
That's why I was mentioning it to Lou, same thing, I was trying to figure out what it was.
With that being said, it appears here that someone owns it already.
But they may not own clear title to it. So, you know, they may want to cleanse their
Oh,
title.
they're asking us to
Well,
help them clean it.
Or get rid of it, so we don't.
So I don't
Well,
know.
while we're talking about that water
Okay,
pipe, though,
get refinanced.
that water pipe goes down in front of the county DPW. And it's not very far from there down to those.
No, it wouldn't be at all.
You'd have to go back around, and I mean, it would be probably much more expensive on the road.
I was just thinking that you could use it and you could put it in with no effects on traffic or anything.
Oh, sure.
We'd have to open the road, et cetera, yeah.
Well, yeah, if you got the money.
We don't want to take anything away from somebody, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I will try to come back.
Exactly, but we want to know what we're signing off.
Yeah, I think that I'll try to get clarification from Mr. Littman, or maybe he can come by and explain it on behalf of his applicant. Okay, the next one is, Phil, you want to go through this one on the hiring cops?
Well, basically, everyone has a copy of this, and there is a grant that they can apply for. I'm not sure if they're going to get it or not. But there's a grant that can be applied for.
That's really the decision that we're going to talk.
Any comments from the board?
Well, the grant is due on Wednesday. That's a, this came in April, so I just received it recently. I talked to the police chief about it, and it was not something that was way up on the top of the triage list. So, whatever decision we make, if we do it more after him, you know, we have been trying to keep the expenses at bay. And, again, also from full-time employees, we're replacing part-time, so that was our goal. Because it's frightening.
To me, it's not consistent with our long-term strategy. So unless someone's got a, but we told the chief we would bring it forward since he requested it. Any other comments from the board?
Oh, yeah, as we said already, it's Bill said it, is that once you put this in line, you have it.
Right.
That's it. It's not something that we have for 3 years. We can say, okay, this is cost consideration. But you have 10 full-time people, well, you find this program, now you have 11, as I understand.
That's almost no police officers will hire.
Yeah, and you have to keep the 11 forever and ever.
Oh, yeah, most police officers will hire that person.
Yep.
Okay, we got the answer then to the chief. Okay. The next one is, following our public hearing and my conversation with George, we had 2 potential projects that we could submit to the Community Development Block Grant funding. And one of them had to do with the senior center. And so Lou took that and talked to Alan, and I talked to Mrs. Frazzino over in the person who's coordinating all the block grants for the county. It really didn't seem to fit the need because a lot of it was maintenance versus capital. And so she said, well, if you felt inclined to do it, go ahead and put it in, but more than likely it would not pass the muster. So I'm going to turn it over to Lou and see if he found out today.
The exact same thing. Alan and I read over the documents, and most of it is that you can't put in for maintenance items. And the grant that we submitted to Senator Diaz a year and a half or two ago had mostly maintenance items on there, other than one item, which was to replace the blinds. And as Ellen said to me today, that we got those blinds 4 years ago on a grant from Joanne, and they didn't give us the blinds that we really wanted. The blinds that are there now really are not suited, because when we have movies and so forth, the light comes in, so forth, so we don't need the same kind of blinds. So basically, but what we did find out, there was, actually Doug found out, there's a few $100 left over from our last grant. So we're going to see, Ellen's trying to get a hold of Joanne to see if we can collect those few $100 and maybe at least get a refrigerator or something out, because we need a refrigerator. So that's about it, but nothing applies from the Diaz grant that we sent up a year and a half ago to Senator Diaz.
Thank you.
And those were the items we're talking about.
Right. The other item was a food for the food pantry. I think it was $5,000 or $6,000. I think it was $5,000. And I've got a call in. Is it Mr. Williams?
It's John Strobel.
I'm sorry, Strobel. Right. I put a call in and I haven't heard back, but I'll pursue that this week. And that should be very. I mean, it's. I think in those cases they're pretty competitive. So,
Yeah.
we'll
My suggestion might be is to, if in fact this is going forth, and John says yes, like to do, put in 10, and maybe you get home.
Well, what we need to do is I need authorization tonight, since this has got to be in by next Monday. And so I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to submit, potentially submit, or a grant, the Community Development Block Grant, an application to support the Goshen Food Pantry. I don't know how much money that would be or anything else, but it's, Dennis, do I need more specifics than that?
Not really.
I'll second the motion.
I mean, I can request a maximum available.
Well, whatever.
Like me, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
I got a second. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Jerry, is that something you could help me with as well, since you're associated out of your church?
Help you how?
Get up with this guy and to,
Speak with him?
yeah.
I can speak with him. He
Okay.
doesn't tell me what to say.
Well, maybe I may have had the wrong phone. I left a message on Friday, and I thought, well, he was going to tell me something like this, I'd call right back.
Right.
I think I might have just had the wrong telephone number, so. Maybe
Well,
I
hang on, don't trust you can do it. John's been my husband, right? Very good. And it's just what, I'm not, don't make me the phone.
No, that's good. Okay. I do want to make sure that because time is the essence, I need to get done this week. Okay. Thanks very much.
Well, maybe I'm sure John will call you right back.
Okay.
No,
Just as information, assessment grievance day is tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and then from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. tomorrow evening. The other thing is we were looking, Bill Standish and myself were looking at the fun day. What?
And Bill? Bill Standish and myself?
No, I'm thinking to you. Everybody's jumping to the front here.
I forgot I was there. That's right.
You'll never remember who's there.
No, I know. He's on vacation. Sorry, George was giving you that look.
All right. So anyway, I asked Bill to put this together. He and I looked at it. We called Phil in as the Commissioner of Finance. We looked at it. And one of the things that jumped off the paper at us is that our medical insurance premiums are higher than we had budgeted. And so in the discussion, we thought, well, we ought to ask George, who is the insurance commissioner, to look at this. So I talked to George this afternoon, and he's willing to look at this and see if there are any options that we have, certainly a minimum, to bring the people in who are in charge of this for our medical provider, to see if we can begin to ratchet on them, very much like we've done with the workman's comp. Because we brought workman's comp down appreciably over the last 2 or 3 years by talking one-on-one with people who are doing providing.
Also, our policy for total insurance.
The liability insurance, yeah.
The highway garage and
big dollars.
Right. So George has agreed to do that, so that's going to be going forward. Okay. Does anybody else have anything for the work session? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion, then we adjourn to go into executive session, not to return, to update the sewer dispute arbitration with the village, talk about the FBI training, PD, talk about the PD part-time roster, the MTBE contamination and the DEC response to a phone call that I've had and a letter that I've now penned to send to them. Talk about the Rickadooley driveway. This is adjacent to our water tank, our water property out in Hamiltonian Park. Tax tertiary status update. And then the one that I just put down after I put the agenda together is the attorney input from Mr. Sweeney regarding the finalization of that expanded Hamiltonian Park Water Sewer District. Dennis, we were supposedly going to talk to him this past week. So, can someone like to make a motion in that regard?
Second.
Okay.
Before you vote it, is there anything you can say publicly about the negotiation, the arbitration?
No.
To update us?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.